Hey fam, welcome back to my channel. It's Jasmine and I'm back with another video. If you are new here, I love to do home decor and I like to keep it on a budget. I don't know if I like to or if I'm just used to doing that, but I like to do home decor on a budget here on this channel. So I hope you join us and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I would love to have you on this journey. Okay, so today's video was supposed to be a kitchen reveal with my new stools, but I tried so hard to get these stools ready and they just were not working with the space. And I was going to just like set them up and let it be what it was, but I just felt like that wasn't going to be authentic and I felt like it just wasn't going to be right. So I'm going to take a little bit more time on bringing that reveal to you guys. I'm going to find the right stools for this space and then I will share with you guys the final reveal. Hopefully that will be next week, but I'm not rushing it. I'm gonna take my time in letting that happen naturally, so I will let you know when that will be. Anyway, but for today's video, there's something I've been wanting to share with you guys anyway, and so I thought I would take today to do that. And I almost wanted to say like it's something that's been on my heart, which it kind of has, but that sounds way too serious for what it actually is. Okay, so I just have some tips for you guys. Just as I've been working with more clients, it's been really cool to just like get to pick their brains and like see how they're processing their own space and like how they're desiring their design to be. And that's been fun for me, but also like such a learning curve because I have my own way of designing, and so it's like just like two ways of thinking coming together. And so what I have noticed was some cool things is like areas where I've struggled in the past with design and watching my clients kind of struggle in those areas with bringing their design to life. And so I thought I would share those with you guys in case some of you guys are not as far along in your designing and like you want to learn some more tips. This will be for you. Some of you guys may already know these things and that's awesome too. But yeah, I want to share these things with you guys today. Let's jump right in. Number one, creating a space that is cohesive. I think something that I've noticed with all of my clients, if not all of them, most of them, is that their main struggle is actually making their space cohesive. They're actually great at picking things that they love and know what they like, and that's amazing. Most people, I think, already have that part down, but I think where we struggle, creating a space that's cohesive, where all of those things that we like come together. And I think sometimes what you have to do is like, I like these two things, but they don't actually go together. So I can't put them both in this room. So there's moments where that happens. And whether you're designing a home or a party or whatever the case may be, like you'll come to those places where you're like, oh, I actually really love what's happening here. Like I was doing a bohemian / like rustic wedding and it was so cute. And just as I was like decorating, we had these like very like Grecian pillars, these like white, like very fancy pillars, and they felt like they were clashing with the design. I'm sure there's a way that you can work them in where they make sense. But as I was like decorating, I was like, these actually aren't complementing what we have going. They actually feel like they're taking away from and distracting from the theme that we already have. And so like I made the decision to not use them that day. But I think that's something that I've come to like with designs, like as I'm like picking things out, sometimes I get really excited and I'll pick something that actually doesn't really go with everything else that I have going, and it almost is pulling away from the design, even though it's so beautiful and so nice. Like the item itself, it's actually pulling away from celebrating the other items. And I think that this is something that we have to be mindful of in design, is like we want to celebrate the things that we already have. And so even if that's like the architecture of the building that you're already living in, or like the flooring that's already in the apartment, like if you can't change it, if you can't like DIY something or whatnot, like celebrating the items that you have. And so for me, I actually really hate gray. Like I would say like if I moved into an apartment that had gray flooring, which I did before, like that would really kind of pull away from my design style and the things that I desire. So it would be like, how do I embrace this gray flooring? Like, do I use some cool like area rugs to kind of break it up a little bit? Do I embrace a little bit more of the cool tones in my design and mix that with the warm tones that I really love? And so like, what are some ways that we can make this space feel a little bit more cohesive instead of just like, well, I'm just gonna put these things together? Like, how can I actually creatively look at these items and make them work together? Or like what items in this room can I remove that would make this space feel a little bit more like it makes sense? I always love, because I think this is especially for men that aren't into design. Obviously, men who are great at design, this doesn't apply to them. But I love like when I'm working with a woman who's like hired me on to design, and then the husband's like, no, but I like that chair. I don't want to get rid of that chair, or like whatever the thing may be. Like, it's like this chair is like an eyesore to the room and to the design. And so now we're like really working around that chair because we have to keep that chair. So it's like, now how can we make everything else in this room kind of complement that chair so it actually feels like that chair makes sense and it's not like an eyesore, you know? And so this is actually something that's very common in designing for other people, because there's a lot of things that you kind of have to work around. And it's like, oh, we want to keep this, whatever, fill in the blank. We really love this table. We want to keep this table. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, that table's not that cute. You know, it's actually going to like, you know, whatever, bring down the design. But then leaning into that and being like, well, we're going to keep this table's staying. So what can we do in the room around this table to actually make that table look even better than what it is right now? You can fill in the blank with this, whether it's a rug, whether it's a piece of art, whether it's a sofa, whatever the thing may be that you're working around in your space, you cannot change. Like, always use that as your jumping off point. The things that you can't change, use those actually to your advantage as like a positive thing. What can I do around this thing that would make this thing actually feel like celebrated and like it's better than what is actually here? And something that I got to do in the last living room that I decorated to help make it feel a little bit more cohesive was we had to work with darker furniture because we didn't want stains and things like that, because there's a lot of traffic through their home. And so we wanted to embrace the dark of the furniture. And so it was like, well, what can we do in this space to make the rest of the room kind of complement or brighten up this dark sofa? And so we got a colorful bohemian rug that she really loved. And then so I was like, well, how do we work around this rug so that the colors aren't clashing? Because we have a dark brown sofa and a rug with bright orangey red tones, and like it was also like very multicolored. It had greens and blues and just a lot of color in it. It was so beautiful, but it was also like a challenge because I was like, well, what pillows can I get that will actually complement this rug and bring out the colors without pulling away from the attention that this rug is really like the showstopper of the room. So like we want to celebrate the rug and like let this rug have its moment instead of competing. And I think this is honestly, like, as I'm talking, I'm thinking about relationships, and just like the best relationships are relationships where there's no competition, where people actually are celebrating one another and bringing out the best in each other versus trying to take away attention from each other. Then it actually like creates animosity and bitterness and like discord, dissension between friendships and relationships. So just even thinking about that as I'm designing a room, I'm like, oh wow, like this is actually a lesson to me as I'm kind of sharing this with you guys, is like the best relationships, the best designs come from a sense of unity, like where we're not competing with each other, but we're actually celebrating each other. And how can I pull back maybe in a different area so that this other person or this other thing can actually have a moment to shine? So that's kind of what I think. Just number one, just creating a cohesive space is one of the main problems that I run into when working with design clients. Number two, things do not always need a match. And I think this is so funny because when I first started my YouTube channel, like this was one of the hardest things for me to get over. Like I felt like all the wood tones had to match, all the metals had to match. And I see a lot with my design clients, like wanting to buy like sets of furniture and not wanting to like create their own mix of furniture. Like, oh, I just want to buy the matching, especially bedroom sets, especially for older generations. Like that was the thing, like bedroom sets are the thing. But most of the really great designs that I see, like Joanna Gaines or Studio McGee, I can't remember her name right now, Shay, they mix up the bedroom. Like they don't get the matching nightstands with the bed frame, you know, they kind of create their own design. And I love that. And I think that's something that's inspired me in my designs, is like, I want to create my own. I want to pull things that I see, like, and how they come together. And I think the beauty of when you walk into a room that someone picked the items that actually are cohesive and go together. So it's still number one, but then also not so matchy-matchy. It just makes the room feel so much more elegant, and like it draws your eye in and like your interest. Like you're like, whoa, like this looks really good. Versus like when something is a little bit more like matchy-matchy, it kind of feels a little redundant, and sometimes it feels a little bit like expected. so it doesn't feel as interesting or like well designed. There's nothing wrong with furniture sets. I've worked with them, I've had to do clients with them, and they're fine. But I think if you want to just get that extra special, unique touch in your space and you want it to feel well designed, like it was designed by a designer, I think that's something that you could do, is like pulling things that look really great together that are not the same. And it actually gives you a little bit more texture. It gives you like a depth of color, and there's just so much that you could do. Because I love like seeing like a fabric headboard with wood nightstands, or like seeing like stone nightstands with a wood headboard, just like really mixing it up. And even like mixing up wood tones, like I said, like that was something when I first started my YouTube channel that I was like so afraid to do, and I was like, this doesn't match, like this isn't gonna look good. And then as I started to play with it a little bit more and I started to watch other people's designs, I was like, actually, like mixing wood tones when they're like in a similar family, like they actually look really great together, you know? So sometimes like a grayer wood tone, or a wood, like the wash that's like a little bit more gray, can like clash with certain like warmer tones. But then also there's moments where you like put two things together that you didn't expect to go together and they look really great. This is also an amazing time to use mood boards, or like kind of capture pictures of the things, the items that you want to use, and put them next to each other. Like for higher end designs, a lot of times they'll get like samples of things and like lay the samples out next to each other so that they can see how all these different textures and colors are going to work together. But I think just like having a photo, if you're like lower budget, like a lot of the things that I work with, we can't get like samples of the Amazon rug, you know, but I can grab a snapshot. It's as close as possible. Sometimes the colors are slightly varied from the images on Amazon, but still you get like a general idea of what it will look like. And so like grabbing those photos, putting them together, just even on, I use Canva, or like something really simple where you can just PowerPoint, or something where you could just see the photos together and just see how the items will come together. It doesn't give you an exact picture, but it gives you a good idea of like how these things will fit and work together. And then also don't be afraid to buy something and return it. Like I said with the stools today, like I do that all the time. Sometimes I see something online that I really love, I buy it, I bring it into the space, and I'm like, that doesn't work, you know? And so just feel free to do that. Sometimes you'll see something like at a discount store, like at Ross or Marshall's or TJ Maxx, like a throw blanket that you're like, hey, that looks really cute. Like, let me take it over and try it in my space. And like, if it doesn't work, maybe move it to another room, or use it, or just return it, or whatever you have to do. But like sometimes just playing with things and trying things out will help you land on a style that you actually really love. Number 3 is keeping your space, or getting your space organized and keeping it clean. I think this is something, and I don't want to say that lightly or flippantly, like I know sometimes it's hard to keep your space organized, or it's hard to get your space to stay clean, especially if you have little kids or like a big family. I know that's really difficult. But having homes for things, like something that I've just realized, and I live by myself, so I understand it's a lot easier for me. But something that I realized when I was doing my kitchen was like just merely buying an extra cabinet for storage space for my appliances really changed the whole kitchen for me. Like I was able to get organized, and just like putting all my spices into the jars, like that actually just made my cabinet feel so much more put together. And so I think something that we can do a lot of times that will make the space feel so much better is just to get organized and to keep things clean, or find homes for things. Because most of the time that our space is messy, it's probably because we don't actually have a space to put those things away. So like if I had small children, I would say one of the things I definitely am thinking or planning ahead to incorporate is like living room storage where the toys can hide that doesn't look like a toy bin. You know what I mean? So like a wicker basket where like you can throw toys in there. And I think I've worked with a family before that had young children, and I incorporated this, but like there's toys everywhere, right? So just creating spaces that don't like look like toy bins, but then they're actually spaces where you can store all of that stuff. At the end of the day, we throw everything in there, and it just feels a little bit more, or when friends are coming over, you know, there's like a space where everything can go. Will make your space already feel a little bit more elevated and designed just because it's clean and organized. And don't underestimate like buying the extra cabinet, or buying the extra shelf, the bookshelf that you need, or the wall shelves that you need. If you have a lot of trinkets and things you like to keep on display, like instead of them being like crowded on a little like tabletop, you know, it's like, oh, let me just add some wall shelves, and then I can actually display these in a cute way, add some plants, add some vases and some decor, so it actually like it celebrates those little items that you have instead of making them feel like they're cluttered on your countertop. Or another thing that I see is like a lot of like beauty products, and like it just looks like so messy because there's like all these like beauty products. So something that I really loved, I saw recently, was like using those like acrylic shelves. I was gonna use them for my spices recently, but like there's like these thin like acrylic wall shelves, and you can just organize all your beauty products onto some of those shelves, and then it looks really pretty and it looks elegant, and then it's also very organized as well, and you can find everything easily because it's organized. So don't sleep on organizing your space. I think that's such an underrated it's such an underrated tip, but I feel like it's one that will transform your space immensely. Number 4 is take your time. I think one of the things that I see with my clients very, very often is that people are in a rush. It's like, I have to get this done and I have to get it done now. Like I have to do it within 2 weeks. I have to do it within, and honestly, most of the design shows that we watch, most of the like professionals that we see, they take like months. I mean, they're doing contract work and stuff as well, but they take months for these designs, and they spend a lot of time on them. Not so much because of the cost element, which I would say for me is like more so why I take my time. Like I want to make sure I'm getting the right prices and buying the right items that I want like from the jump, instead of having to, in the past when I've like rushed into purchases and like bought things, I was like stuck with things that I didn't actually like because I was just in a rush to like fill a space. Like, oh, I just need this item, so I'm just gonna get it. And then I'm like, oh, and then I buy it like 3 other times, like different versions, because I'm like, oh, I didn't like that one. I didn't like that one. You know, sometimes I switched up just because I want to change things up, but like I like to not rush into things so I can actually enjoy the things that I'm buying and like pick the right ones. So I would say definitely take your time. I like to look at design more of like a lifetime collection of things that I really like value and love, versus like this rush to like get things done. I think like there's some elements of your space that you kind of need, like your bed or a bed frame or your couch, things like that. Like buying those just quickly makes sense, but sometimes like picking the right art or picking the right vessels and vases that you want displayed in your space, or getting the right plants that you really love, that you know what kind of light they require and where you're going to place them in your home, and all of those things. I think taking your time to develop that side of your design is also very, very valuable, because you'll get it right, and it's not a race or a rush. It's just like, I'm taking my time and I'm enjoying the process, and like it's actually supposed to be fun. I feel like design should be fun. It shouldn't feel stressful or like you're like trying to meet this deadline. Obviously, an aspect of designing with clients is like there are deadlines that you have to meet, and so that is what it is. But when you're designing your own space, definitely my tip is to take your time and do it at your own pace. When you find things, just always keeping your eye out for the things that you like, and just incorporating them when you can. When you see the extra little vase at Target, when you're shopping for your groceries, like snagging that vase, or you see the throw pillow at Christmas time that's on sale, you grab that throw pillow, you know. So just taking your time to really create a space that you love and not break the bank. Then also, when you take your time, larger furniture items, especially looking to buy them during the holidays, like 4th of July sales, Labor Day sales, there's after Christmas sales, all of the sales, like when you know, oh, I'm gonna need a bed frame, like try to like wait or grab it beforehand. Like when you know the holidays near that time, like just leaning towards the holidays. Prime Day is coming up, so like leaning in towards buying things on Prime Day, stuff like that is always really helpful for saving some money, for even more items to add to your design. And that's all the tips I have for you guys today. Overall, I do want to say there is no right way, there's no wrong way, or at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure design experts would probably say something different, but I would say overall, there's no right or wrong way. What's best for you, what inspires you, what brings you peace, what's best for your family, that's the right way. And so you want to create a space that you love, that is best for you. And so take whatever tips from this video were helpful, and then anything that was giving you stress or like causing you to feel bad about your space, please forget it. That was not my goal in this video. Like, all I want to do is inspire you to create a space that you love, and that's really just my heart behind this video. So I hope that that came across as I was sharing. I love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting my channel, for leaving comments. Please do, if there was anything that helped you today, make sure to share it in the comments and let me know. If there's any questions you have or things that you would love me to share on or talk about in another video, also let me know that too. And yeah, as always, keep spreading the love and light, and I will catch you on the next one.
We bring it back to life, taking it to brand new